Like,
There you are.
He's there somewhere. He's trying to come through.
Craig's here.
Oh,
Yeah,
there he's
yeah.
right there, mate.
Hi, Craig. Right, sir.
On you.
Yeah, good. About yourself, right?
Yeah, just sobering up now, I think, from last week. So
I was going to say, it's been a decent season for you, but haven't it?
been back.
Literally, just give me 2 seconds and then we're there. I could share it to the Vanarama group now as well, can't I?
Yeah. Whee!
Have to learn how to spell that now, Rich, and we.
Not because you're Van Matt, apart from Abbott, I think. Is it a unit or an A? I'm not sure.
It's easier than, was it Evil Stitch? Is that what it's called? Evil Stick.
Oh, evil thick British gas business, wasn't it? The pitching in. Oh, God. Yeah.
Tool Station.
Tool station, and that one, yeah. Beezer Homes for Johnny going back in the day, like, yeah.
The Beezer Homes Midland Division. I remember that. Then the
It's
GM
mad,
Vauxhall
though.
Conference. Still call it the GM Vauxhall Conference.
I was literally just about to say that. People still call it the Vauxhall Conference. Like,
Can't help it, can it? Yeah,
that must have been the best bit of sponsorship for them ever, because they haven't paid a penny for 20 odd years and they still calling it that, like, you know?
Still call it, don't they?
Yeah.
It's quite funny when people say to me about this show and they said to me, "Are you still doing the Ryman League show?" And it's like,
yeah,
a long time ago.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Yeah. A long time ago.
Dr. Martin's down there for the first 7 league. Dr. Martin.
Well, welcome to the Replos non-league show. We're here for the next hour or so, and really pleased to say we've got a champions special. We did invite Bedford Town on as well, and unfortunately they got pinched by the BBC before I could get hold of him. So he's on the BBC tonight and turn me down, eh? How things go. But he's on the BBC tonight, so on there. But a massive thank you for everybody for joining us tonight. And let me just introduce you to our guests. Let's start off then with Dom, of course, manager of Horsham, who had one of the most craziest games of football or weekends of football, and ended up winning the league with Horsham. A massive congratulations by 1 goal at the weekend as it worked out. So massive welcome back to Dom.
No, thanks, Dave. Thanks for having me on. Appreciate it. It's great.
No worries. And then, of course, a club now that has become so special to me and has really got really sort of close to my heart now because of course, the wonderful Anthony Hughes introducing me to him. And of course, also as well, they ended up winning the league a day after his birthday, which this year, which was fantastic. So a massive welcome to Matt, of course, the captain at Merthyr. Welcome, Matt.
Thank you, mate.
A living legend and becoming a good friend now, Mr. Craig Reddy. How are you, sir?
Good, thank you, Dave. Good.
And of course, I said to him before, he's Richard the super fan from Merthyr. How are you, sir?
All good, mate. All good. Thank you. Thanks for having me on.
And of course, I had to leave I won't say the best till last, but of course, the living legend that, of course, he's Johnny Owen. So really, really is a big pleasure to have you on with us, sir.
It's a pleasure to be here. Pleasure to be here, David. Thanks for asking me.
No worries at all. So if we can start with Dom first, because it was an incredible weekend. And guys, I don't know if you followed any of it or saw what happened with Dom, but Dom, I mean, Horsham at the beginning of the season, did you dream that you'd be where you are now?
I thought we'd be in the mix for the playoffs. I think last year we were half decent, to be honest, and we played too many games and sort of ran out of fuel a little bit. And also we had Hornchurch in our league last year who were like just run away. They pretty much had it won by October. They were so dominant, so it wasn't easy last
year. Mate, go on, Cal.
I think I felt we were going to be in the mix, but you just don't know with these leagues. They're so competitive. I think, obviously the Southern leagues are very similar. They're so competitive all the time, and you never know who's going to throw the kitchen sink financially at it, and you never know. There's always a couple of random ones. But yeah, I felt we'd be in the mix, but didn't quite expect to have the season we've had, and certainly didn't expect to win it the way we did.
I mean, on Saturday yourself, though, I mean, we was in a situation like that. Did you get to a stage where somebody was actually telling you what the scores were from the Dartford game and from the Billericay game, and was you actually getting that information? And especially when they scored quite late on as well, and they needed one more goal to sort of throw a spanner in the works.
Yeah, so we worked it all out during the week. To be honest, we knew we'd probably need like 4 or 5 because obviously Billericay were going to win the game. We were pretty confident of that, and we knew we'd need a bit of a landslide in terms of a result. And yeah, we had people in touch with it, and a lot of the time it was going our way. And at one stage we had these, this 2-goal buffer, and everything was looking okay. And then they scored, I think, on the 90th minute or something to go 4. And yeah, I just felt sick for 15 minutes. I won't lie. Like all of a sudden, the rest of the day I was absolutely fine, not really comfortable with the situation. And then you think of the magnitude of it, and then you're also thinking, if we don't win today, how do you lift the team for the playoffs and things like that? And it's an odd one. We had a few injuries, and how they got 13 minutes up there of injury time. So we're sitting there, and all of a sudden everything kind of went radio silence on the Twitter feeds and everything. And, we were sort of left with silence. So we finished our game and felt like about 20 minutes, but I've watched the video back. It was about 30 seconds, but then we found out we'd won it. So it was it was a magical moment. Honestly, it was mad. I've been really lucky with my football. I've had a lot of good things happen, but to win it like that was just ridiculous. It was mental.
I mean, looking at those sort of, looking at the actual table and how it finished, it was all very sort of like concertina before the game. And I mean, Billericay played 42, won 26, drew 9, lost 7, 83 goals for, 42 against, plus 41, 87 points. And then yourselves, 42 played, 28 won, 3 drawn, 11 losses, 82 for, 40 against, plus 42. 87. And as you said, if they would have scored another one, do you know what I mean? They would have won it on goals scored.
Yeah, that's mad. I mean, the thing with our season, it's been a tricky one because we had the cup runs at the start. So we had a really good FA Cup run, got to the first round. We had a good run in the trophy that got finished at Torquay away on a Tuesday night. And during that period, we lost 8 games in the first, before December, I think, yeah, 8 games into November. And we sort of come out of the cups, and all of a sudden we sort of flipped it a little bit, and from there our run's been unbelievable. But we've had to sort of like just go for it every game. So we've only had 3 draws. We've just had to go for it, and if we lose because of going for it, that's the only way we're going to make up the points. So from December to now, we've just been like just been on a landslide run, and it's the only way we were going to catch them up. So sort of credit to the boys. They've played 60 games this year. We've got a cup final next week. But to get to the first round as well, and then I think we beat 3 teams from the league above in the trophy. So we've had a great season, and you just take a nap as it is, and then to do what we've done at the end of the season is pretty good. So yeah, we're looking just beginning to realise now that we've got a promotion out of this, and we've got to sort of start planning for next season really.
So Craig, am I right? So will Merthyr will go into the Vanarama South, or is it you're on the border that you might go into the North?
Yeah, we could go into the North. We don't know. So we're not going to know until the playoffs are completed, and then till the AGM happens, and we find out from there. Like if Gloucester were to win the playoffs, there's a good chance we're in the South. But as things stand, there's a very good chance we're going to end up in the North, which would be really, really tricky for us.
I'm just looking at these teams that, Dom, you can sort of start salivating about playing. I mean, you could be playing Torquay, Eastbourne, Worthing, Boreham Wood, Dorking Wanderers. There's some big teams in there, and and in Old Foe, you've got people like Chesham that you may have played before, and the likes of Enfield Town that still sort of managed to survive on the last day. So there's some big teams in there, but there were some big teams in the Isthmian Prem this year.
Yeah, our league this year with Dover and Dartford, obviously National League clubs very recently, and Billericay who've had some good funding and done really well over the last sort of 10 years. And then you got teams like Dulwich as well. They sort of get 3,000 watching, sort of really big clubs. And then there's a couple of like sort of newer clubs like Chatham, who've really given it a good go and had some promotions. So it's been a really competitive league this year. But yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I mean, to be honest, again, hadn't really thought too much about it. I had a little look last night about, I thought the travel would be worse, but with Truro going out and
Yeah.
which is obviously, and there's potentially, Torquay in theory could go out in the playoffs. So for us, the travel's relatively similar to what we've got at the moment, but just some really big clubs. So yeah, it's exciting. It's going to be really good. Like I said, just trying to get my head around it really, and then we've got to sort of start planning. But yeah. I mean, for our club, we've never got anywhere near this level before. So to get up there and have a go in a South of England league, it's going to be a good one for us.
How do you keep the players' heads on their shoulders? Though, if you say you got a cup final coming up, I mean, how difficult is it now?
Well, after Saturday, I think some of them are still on the streets of Horsham somewhere. I'm not sure where they ended up, but yeah, we've got a week Thursday, so we've got a bit of time, and the finals at the Amex. It's a big one in Sussex. Our sort of county cup is quite a prestigious one. So we won it last year, so the boys know it's a big occasion. So I think they'll be okay. Hopefully by next week. We're having a few days off this week, and then we'll get back into training next week and go and attack that game. But it'll be a nice way to end the season down there at the Amex. They treat us really well, and last year it was a brilliant experience.
Who have you got in the final?
Littlehampton. So they're a southeast Isthmian southeast team. So yeah, I know the managers have both used to play for me, so that's going to be a good one.
It's going to be an interesting one. I mean, what was the chairman's? What was when you get to speak to the chairman as well? I mean, what was his thoughts? Pre-game really, I suppose. I mean, what did he expect to be where you are now? And
no, I think at our club it's kind of a strange one. We don't, we've kicked on quite rapidly. Obviously, 8 full seasons ago we were at step 5. So we've got this new ground, and we've built it out, and obviously had quite a lot of success. So the crowds have been growing, and then off the back of that, we've had 3 promotions in 8 seasons. So it's like there's no real expectations. There's no major pressure at our club. There's not like some sort of strategy to get up through the leagues. It's kind of, I say it's quite an organic thing. We just sort of like get in a league, have a look at it, see what it's like, and then establish ourselves, and then hopefully attack try and have success. But and it's kind of worked. So the 3 divisions we've gone up, we've done exactly the same thing. We've had a look at it, worked out what we've needed, and slowly built it up. So yeah, there was nothing like that really. It's been quite chilled. I think we had a call earlier, and I think everyone's in a state of shock trying to work out how to navigate a National South campaign, and all the bigger things that come with it off the pitch. But it's something we'll embrace. Our supporters deserve it. I mean, we're getting sort of 1,800 at games now, and Saturday I think we could have sold probably 4,500, but we've got a limited capacity in the ground. So it's going well, and we know we're going to be in for a tough season, but it's going to be good. It's going to be a good challenge.
So the club's all set up, for the next step up. I mean, it's all there.
Yeah. Our ground's 5 years old. It was we were homeless for like 11 seasons. So we had no ground, and we couldn't get anything. The council were really reluctant to give us planning permission. And since we've been in the ground, which was the year before COVID, we've sort of geared it up slightly for this league for step 3 from day one. And then I think we had a good FA Cup run last year. We played Barnsley, and there was some money that came out the back of that, and we did all the ground grading ready for the next step. So yeah, we're fine in that respect. It's like a brand new stadium, so we don't have some of the logistical issues that you'd have with an older stadium. So yeah, it's good. It's good that side of it. No major issues. It's more a case of everything's just going to ramp up and be bigger and bigger. But yeah, it's exciting. It's good.
What would you say for you was the turning point of the season for you, though? I mean, did you get to a point during the season where you thought, what, we might do this?
Well, the turning point in our season, we played Dartford just before Christmas. Just before Christmas-ish, beginning of December, and it was an annoying one because of the Torquay game or one of the trophy games. That game got rearranged to the day our players were flying back from their Christmas do in Barcelona. So they've turned up at the game, and we weren't able to compete really. And off the back of that, we had a bit of a discussion after the game, you know, because we'd lost these 8 games, and off the back of that, the boys just sort of like tuned in and kicked on a little bit. But we played Cheshunt about 4 or 5 games ago away from home. The pitch was really bad, and we scored in the last minute to win 2-1. And I just had a funny feeling there that, you know, I thought that perhaps something, you know, that we could potentially do it. I just felt like the boys were in the right place. I've managed a lot of games, and I think you can kind of tell when a team's sort of where it needs to be. And I just felt from there we sort of got ourselves into sort of the mindset that we could go and do it really. But it was still a big undertaking to get that turnaround on the goal difference on the last day was a challenge. But yeah, on the final day, the boys were incredible. The performance was unbelievable. I mean, we could have won by 10, 11. We had so many chances. It was like yeah, it was like, you know, a bit in training where you're just doing like a bit of a session at the end, and there's nothing on it, and there's no risk, and everyone's shooting from everywhere, and there's carnage. But it was a great game to watch.
Matt, did you have a Christmas do in Barcelona?
Tell you what, our first team night out was Friday, Good Friday, when we won away at Shoalin. And Craig will vouch for me, we're a shambles of a team when it comes to that. We've got a lot of posers and a lot of youngsters that go out quite often, but the old guard like me that can't be dealing with. Well, I was in the boiler, which is cool as in Merthyr on Friday. I don't think I've been there for 13 years, but we actually haven't had a team social all season, which is bonkers, really. Yeah. So maybe that's the formula moving forward. But then, no, maybe Barcelona next year. Maybe the club will speak to Les, and I know some of the boys are off to Ibiza now in a couple of weeks. So
yeah, so we've got 16 of our 18 are going to Ibiza on a week Friday. So yeah, it is difficult. We've got our team they're all around 27, 28. So they're all roughly the same age. We haven't got a lot of young lads. We haven't got a lot of older boys. So they're kind of like, they're in that age group where they kind of all do a lot of things together. But yeah, I've found that in the past. It's quite tricky to get nights out sorted out, but I don't go on any of them. So good luck to them.
Well, I mean, but with it all, I mean, Craig, I mean, with yourselves, I mean, at one stage there, I was looking at it thinking, oh, this is, you know, it's going to be over quite quickly, and then all of a sudden, you had us all sitting on the edge of our seats.
Yeah, we had a couple of draws we did, which wasn't expected, and I just slowed down a little bit. But it was a tough season because Tottenham were right there, right till the very end. And I mean, I think most other seasons we would have won the league 5-6 games earlier, to be honest, the run we've been on. But Tottenham just kept going. It was relentless, and fortunately we didn't lose too many games. I think someone said Saturday we only lost games the first month and the last month of the season. In between now, we didn't lose a game. So yeah, we were pretty consistent throughout the season. But yeah, getting over that line is tricky. It's why it's such a great achievement to win any league, to be honest.
Johnny, was you able to be there, or was you busy working?
Well, if all the boys now probably agree, whenever I was there, they lost. They didn't lose the 30-odd games, David. And I went to a game. I went to Gloucester home, which we lost. And then I went to Hanwell, and it was the first time we'd lost in 30-odd games. So all the boys were like, Owen, stay away. I was like, sorry. But I put that hoodoo to rest then, and that amazing day when we clinched the title. It was fantastic. You know, I was there. It was just one of the great days watching Merthyr Town. And that's one of the things about this team. Me and Richard will say, you know, I'm old enough to remember the great team of the late 80s, early 90s, but this team is right up there for me in that respect. The way they play, you know, what they've done this season. I mean, I think somebody put up, David, that we were 33-1 to go up this year, and I expect us to possibly go for the playoffs, you know, but considering the budget, you know, I mean, Craig there's been very modest. Tottenham are a good team, but they got a massive budget compared to us, so we did brilliantly, you know, sort of keeping them off. And the thing I was most pleased about was when I was a kid, Merthyr was always a difficult place to go. You know, I live in Nottingham now, and I've met players who played for Grantham and some really good local teams, Ilkeston, and they all say we used to hate going to Merthyr. And I really like the fact teams hate coming to Merthyr again now, because we play the right way. You know, we play quick, expansive football. It's always a great, you know, crowds there. There's a lot of youngsters there, as Richard will tell you, cheering us on. So I love the fact that we've become a real fortress again, really, at Pendarren Park. And, you know, I'm really proud of Craig, Matty, all the boys. They've made the town proud, you know, and I can't thank them enough, really.
That's one question we should ask you. Were you at Wembley yesterday?
I was, yeah. I was. I was gonna go. I was gonna go Saturday to Basingstoke, but I had to do some media duties for the FA Cup, and I was gonna go down. I mean, it didn't really matter about the result. We were already champions, But you've seen the videos. I don't know if you've seen them, David. But the boys are chanting all game. They give the boys a standing ovation. We'll give them that game. They've probably been out in the pub all week, so they're allowed to have a game like that. And like I said, I genuinely can't speak. I've really, really enjoyed watching Merthyr, but also like being a part of the whole experience of seeing what they're doing. It's like getting all the messages from the boys when they're at games. Boys like Richie sitting there now and they're telling me what's going on. Do you know what I mean? So it's just been brilliant for me. I'm my wife Vicky. We both love being a part of it, love sponsoring the club. And I'm just really excited about next season now. I mean, listen, I know it's going to be logistically tough if we're in the north, but it's better for me because I live up in Nottingham a lot of the time, so I don't mind them.
But Richard, I mean, from your point of view, I mean, as a fan, it's I mean, it must be incredible to see what the club's done this year.
Yeah, and just want to sort of echo what Johnny said here, with the run we went on and what Craig said, Matt, 32 games unbeaten. Was a crazy run. We lost in August. Gaffer mixed it about a bit. And then from then the crowds went up. Averaging 1,300 a game now, over 21 league games, 3,500 here for the last game. And as Johnny said, the feel about the place is a buzz. There's youngsters there, family, and you just take a step back and look around. You just think it all makes sense. All that commitment, all that, the bad days, the hard work, the blood, sweat, and tears. You just sit back and you see everybody so happy and everybody doing their bit, and it just makes sense, why you've given so much of your time, so much of your life to that. And like I said, none of that would have been possible without like Marty and Craig and the boys. So yeah, it's been a remarkable season.
I just pinged up, from what Craig was saying, and that the possibility of going into the into the north, and you look at some of the teams that are in there, and it's yeah, it's interesting, isn't it? To say the least. I think that's a word of being polite. South Shields, and you've got the likes of Darlington, Hereford in there, Kidderminster in there as well. Kings Lynn are in there, Chester are in there. So you've got teams that when I was a lot younger, you that were sort of league sides.
Some massive clubs, mate, and like I said, from a supporter's point of view, yeah, okay. From a club point of view, sorry, the south is the place to go. Local derbies, Bath City, Western, Chippenham, easier logistically possibly, but from a selfish point of view, looking at them clubs in the north, like I said, potentially like Scarborough, Chester, Hereford, wow, what a mix to be in, and if we can do a bit of Kidderminster, another one huge club, quite local to us. So yeah, so to be in the same conversations as clubs like that, it does make you think what we're on the verge of, what we've achieved here, and what we're at, what level we're at. So yeah, really excited. To be honest, I don't think any of us really care which way we go at the moment, because we're just so elated at what's happened this season. So yeah, bring it on.
Oh, so one question. I don't know if you even know the answer. You might not know the answer. You may. But with the league, there's normally the shield that gets played for, which would be between you and Bedford Town. Is that going ahead this year, or have the league turned around and said?
I think they scrapped it, mate. I think they scrapped it last year because it's pretty much a complete waste of time. Sorry if I offend anyone by saying that, but we've played in those games before, and it's like we played. I think it was at Kettering one year, and it was just like it's like a non-event. It was an absolute non-event. There was like 200-300 there, and yeah. So I think they might well have shelved that. And obviously the issue you've got now with the leagues being split is that the big massive Southern League Shield goes to the club with the highest points per game ratio.
Yeah.
So we had a little cup, no disrespect, lovely little cup, which we broke straight away. And this massive shield, which is so iconic with the Southern League, and that step, went to Bedford, unfortunately. So fair play to them, all the best to them. No problem with that. But yeah, it was a shame to miss out on that shield, to be honest.
Do you know, David, I was going to say, somebody put up this amazing stat that if we do go into the north, there's the potential for us to play in Scunthorpe, who 10 years ago were in Tier 2 of the Championship when we were in Tier 10. And
Wow.
we've got the potential to meet them, which gives an indication, as Richard said, of where Merthyr have sort of climbed from, really, when you think about some of the teams he's mentioned in there, you know. And the big thing as well, going up the league for us is, you know, nobody really travels that much in that league. Merthyr do, ironically. They're one of the few teams. So going up into that league and possibly playing those clubs in the north, you mentioned, like Hereford, Chester, or even in the south, they're going to be bringing fans. So it's just going to mean the crowds are going to go up anyway, really. So financially, it's so much better for us.
Mm. So do we know for sure then that it's going to be that Bedford have won that Shield then, haven't they?
Yes, I think that was the reason we had the cup this week was on Monday and not the trophy, because I think that we couldn't beat that points per game ratio. That's what I'm led to believe anyway. But yeah, I wanted to see that big shield, but no doubt our name will go on it somewhere.
I'll tell you a funny story about that shield, because it's got the likes of Queen's Park Rangers on it. It's got Tottenham Hotspur's name on it, etc., etc. And if you've actually seen the shield, I know Johnny's seen the shield himself, but it's about 5 foot tall and about 4 foot wide.
Yeah.
And I remember Banbury won it a few seasons ago, and the guys turned up and said, "Well, you got to take it home with you." You know, I think when we were up in Warwickshire at the time, so you got to take it home with you. And the guy that was good, that was there only had a mini. The actual shield was bigger than the mini. It was just crazy.
When we won the Western Division, the shield is sorry, the Southwest Division. The shield is pretty much the same, but like half the size. And I never forget the story, Anthony telling me where we won it, and you know, it's got like after it then until the AGM or the SGM of the league. And he spoke to me one day and he said, "Well, nobody's kind of asked for it back." He said, "It's still in my living room." And it was in his living room for like months and months and months. And then he went into a side room in his house. He found the old FAW trophy that nobody ever asked for back. You know, when he won the FAW Premier Cup. So you know, again, it's a good side story where, like, you know, the traditions and you know, when you get that trophy, it's yours. You look after it. You know, these trophies are insured for thousands and thousands and thousands of pounds, and they just sat in someone's living room for months on end, like, you know, because they can't be trusted to be left in the club to be bashed about and, you know, thrown around and spilled beer on. But yeah, that was a funny moment. Anthony telling me that he was on his living room mantelpiece for the best part of 6 months. Yeah, that was a good side story. That.
I mean, talking of Anthony, I mean, as we said at the beginning, he won it sort of a day after his birthday. I mean, am I right in saying that some of the family members were actually at the game as well?
Yeah. Lloyd is never a very good friend of mine. You know, was at Shoalin. You know, and obviously plenty of tears shared there, like, you know, and just before the game, Lloyd was texting me, you know, right, what the permutations, what are this, what is that, what about the goals, what about the goals against, what about this, what is talking to this, right, just get the show in, we'll get the job done, get the show in, get the job done. And he was there, he was at Wimborne, he was at Totton, you know, so yeah, and I know obviously the immediate family then were there on Monday also, like, you know, so yeah, very still very much involved in the club and obviously enjoying its success as well.
Craig, I mean, what a fantastic job! You know, you and the management team have done, and of course, also sort of, I suppose you could put, you know, Matt in that bracket as one of the management team as being the captain, you know, on the field. I mean, done a fantastic job this year alongside Paul, and from what I can keep seeing on Facebook and Twitter, you've got a car full of trophies this year, isn't it?
Yeah, it's not a bad season, yeah. So yeah, we won the league there in Merthyr, and then with my assistant manager Ponty proved United women's team as well, and we won our league there which is the league below the Welsh Premier, but you don't get automatic promotion. You have to have a playoff with the North Wales champions. So we won the league, and then 2 weeks later we had to go up to Newtown on Easter Sunday to have a playoff with Connors Quay. And we were 2-0 down at half time and came back to win 3-2. So we kind of unofficially we won the league in Shoalin on Good Friday. So you know, we went out and celebrated well on the Friday. I think I got home about 6 o'clock Saturday morning. Had a day off Saturday. Then went out to this game on the Sunday and was definitely coming home by 7 o'clock that night because we had Monday. But the way the game went on a Sunday, I got in 4:30 on the Monday morning. Went to bed, I'd fell asleep. I woke up and literally had to get a lift straight up to Merthyr for the Bank Holiday Monday game. It's a good team photo that we had done, which I can barely remember, to be honest. But we won the game, and then we were obviously out again. And I think I got in 3:30. I think it was. Matt, do we go home over 3:30 on the Monday or the Tuesday morning then?
Yeah, your man picked us up at some time. I can't.
Yeah, I didn't actually come home. I stayed in my parents' house. My mother had to pick from a pub and got in about 3. So yeah, it's been a successful season, and I should sober up anytime soon now, I think.
I suppose the one thing I suppose to ask yourself, Craig and Matt and Richard, are you waiting for Johnny to start up, his own little series, Welcome to Merthyr?
I do think you know what I did promise myself if we went up this year, I'm gonna get even more involved I possibly can, and that's something I want to do. I'm gonna have some meetings this summer, obviously, because everything is going to need to go up for Craig, Matty, Paul, and the boys. They've proved themselves. It's going to be bigger budget, so we're going to need more sponsors, but we can go to people certainly in the town and the whole area, really, the South Wales Valleys. I think Merthyr's got a real chance to become a catchment club for not just Merthyr, but there's lots of boys from Aberdare come across now, Rumney, Ebervale, Pontypridd. The train is packed coming into Merthyr, which didn't really happen in the late 80s and the early 90s. And the other big thing I'm noticing is, like, after the game on Bank Holiday Monday, when we all went into town, all the pubs, as Richard will tell you, were packed with Merthyr fans. They're all singing. That just didn't happen. It was sort of quite separate, really, that, you stayed up the club. Whereas I feel now, I felt it happened in an FA Cup game we had a few years back where we had a massive crowd and kind of everything sort of clicked and changed. We had this game at Buxton after, Dave, and we took like almost 1,000. And I just felt like there was a real mood change, really, in the town, that, the football has become something even more important than it always was. And it's always been a football town. We talk about this historically. But I just really feel now the pride of the town is in that football team. It just is. The local rugby team are fantastic for this. They always tweet and say good luck to us, and even the coaches there have said, look, it is a football town. And I think it's such an integral part of the town's personality now, the football team. And those boys, what they've done this year, all of them really. I mean, they've just made us so proud, And I feel now there's such a potential for Merthyr to possibly, stabilise next year and go on, really, because they've just got this very strong, solid fan base and a lot of youngsters. That's the big change, Richard, really, is the age difference in the last few years. There's a lot of youngsters up there now, isn't there?
Yeah, sort of 6, 7, 8 years ago, we were looking around thinking 300-400 crowds, thinking, the generation was getting older and older and older. You didn't have this sort of army coming through, and then all of a sudden, a bit of success. Like I said, them cup games were the really turning points. The reprieve and relegation, the good season with the FA Cup, then obviously the good season last year, this season. On that terrace, she's talking like 600-700 lads, 20, 30 years of age with years left in the tank, watching Merthyr now, and you're thinking, hang on a minute, we got a chance here. Over the far side, you've got the little youth annoyance firm, as we call them, just no harm in them, but they're an away fans' nightmare for a few hours. There's about 100 of them, all penned in the corner, living life for the TikToks, and you got the young lad Jack doing his YouTube thing and stuff like that. So really positive, and I think that's the biggest change for me. I'm walking down the town after the game, and people shouting and chanting about Merthyr. That never happened. People dancing in the street. I mean, on Saturday night, I was dancing in the street with fans and with Ricardo and Fraser at 1 a.m. Traffic was stopping and people were crying. There was people on the floor, and that would never happen before. It would all be sort of concentrated to the football club and whatever. So I think we're starting to reach out a lot more to the community over these last few years, and long may it continue.
I mean, was Vicky lucky enough to be there for the game?
No, she weren't there. I do message her all the time. Last time she was down, it's a bit like coming back to what Richard was saying and what Matty and Craig will tell you. She loves all the kids, and they do that thing, where you just don't see it in the Premier League or in the Championship, where they climb into the rafters and they bang the side and all that. And she was like, "Oh my God, I've never seen this before." It's like kind of like slightly feral thing, but she loved it, and like, the fact there's terraces and people can have a pint and all those kind of things. And I think this is what's happening to a lot of boys who support, certainly Cardiff. Merthyr's a big area for supporting Cardiff City, as is the Valleys. A lot of boys now, come up from Swansea as well, Newport. I think they really enjoy that non-league side of it, of having a pint, watching a game. I'm feeling somehow connected, I work at Forest, with a top end Premier League club, and it's just a very different thing going to watch non-league. It just is, and I think that's something that's very unique. And then people who are, often involved watching Premier League football in Nottingham, a lot of my mates up there go to watch Carlton Town and teams like that, because they just enjoy going there. So, I think these are things that are, unique selling points for us, and Merthyr is sort of, as Richard was saying, gathering that, so, if you go to a championship ground now, you're told where to sit, there's your seat, your stuff. Suddenly at Merthyr, you can stand by your mates, you can jump around, you can have a pint, you can sing a song, it's terracing. These things, kind of like sort of deep in the soul of football, and I think people can see that. So yeah, I know it's one of it's the best I've seen it up there, really. I mean, like I said, when I was a kid and they're the great team, there was an older sort of crowd and things. I just feel it's a very, very young fan base now. It's very young support, and it's got that energy about it, really. And the team are the same as well. The team are young. They play great football. So there's a kind of like almost like a unique sort of coming together of it already up there. And next season is going to be really exciting, I think, because they're going to get some big crowds, certainly at the start of the season, and you're going to get big away support. So I think people are going to see it going up another level again. It's really exciting, actually.
Well, I've just had a look to see what the average crowd is for Horsham this season and Merthyr. Do you know what your average crowd was this season, Dom?
No, but it's grown over the season because we had a lot of midweeks because of the replays of the cups. But I reckon, I don't know, maybe 1,100.
So this is just based on the Isthmian Prem, so there's no sort of.
Yeah.
So 1,221 is your average crowd
Fantastic.
this
Brilliant.
season.
Brilliant.
Do you know what yours was, Craig, Johnny, Matt, Richard?
1,277, I think, is it?
It's quite close. Quite close. 1,244.
That's the most specific guess I've ever heard, Rich.
Working it out every week, Matty. You important stat, mate. Important stat.
What a bad guess.
Very, very similar sized clubs and crowds then, and to do that consistently over a season for the both of us, I think that's great testament. I'm not sure what Bedford's was like, but yeah, I think that's really impressive for Horsham as well, in fairness.
I'd echo all you guys have said, to be honest, about the community and the way the crowds have changed and the way people are getting more and more into the non-league stuff. We're stealing so many supporters from Brighton, Palace, sort of some of the London clubs, sort of 40 minutes away from us, because it's just a bit more of a real experience. The amount of kids that come to our games, I mean, they would driving the players mad on Saturday because they wanted their shirts, and I'm telling them they can't give their shirts away. Do you know what I mean? But it's becoming such a big thing, non-league. It's really enjoyable to be part of that side of it, I think. It's class the way people are getting involved in local non-league clubs.
Hey Dom, I got a quick funny story for you. On just at the end of the game where we were going to get promoted, like my mate was saying, in the late 80s, Merthyr invaded the pitch, but he said like 5-10 minutes before, there's all the old fellas and the stewards going, "Nobody's on the pitch, stay off the pitch." But anyway, they burst through, and one of them said, all I could hear was Johnny Owen, who was meant to be a sponsor of the game, going, "Get on the pitch, kids! Get yourselves on the pitch! Go on, boys, get on!" And I think that's important what you said. Yeah, but I think you're right, Dom. I think like if these people come, we should give them a different experience, shouldn't we?
Yeah.
We should get them close to the players. But Matty and the boys, they're like one with the fans. You can see it in the stuff, and I think that's great. You're doing that.
Yeah, it was really good Saturday. We were out in the town with the supporters, and it means a lot. There's you talking to you. I don't know a great deal about your club, but obviously I know a fair bit about your league and everything. But there's people that have been involved at these clubs for sort of 70 years, and it means so much to them. Do you know what I mean? And it's like you don't realise I don't have a club. I don't support a team, so it's very difficult for me to relate. But when you see how happy everyone is and how much pleasure it gives everyone, there's people crying and really emotional Saturday because you're probably just never going to be, you don't have these experiences very often. So that's the best thing about it. I think, you know, it sounds like you guys are in a similar place with that side of things. So hopefully it continues for both of us, you know.
Top
Well,
man.
Richard just asked about Bedford Town. There's his 798.
Okay.
Their average. But Matt, I've got to ask you. I mean, what's the atmosphere been like inside that dressing room, especially going down to that Sholing game? I mean, what was what was that like? Especially as Sholing are what are they, the bitter enemy of AFC Tottenham as well. I mean, what was it? What was that like going in there, and what was the feeling inside that dressing room on that day?
Um, hard read because it was on the back of 2 losses. And I've been injured for a while, so it was just trying to reassure the lads that we're fine, like, you know. And we had 2 really disappointing defeats at Hamwell and then at home to Poole, where we were just simply not ourselves in terms of performance. But you know, like we've touched on, we're a very, very young football team. Apart from myself and maybe 2 others that are not old, I'm definitely old, but the rest are all very, very young. But what we have got is boys who play, and I've referred to it a lot this year, is chest out football. They don't care. They could go to Old Trafford and they won't change the way they play. They've got that football arrogance and, you know, that, as we all did as kids, just that belief that you can just go anywhere and play. And, you know, we were brilliant at Sholing, actually. The performance, you know, it could have finished 6 or 7 on the day. We had so many opportunities. And then I wasn't going on, and then the scores are coming in from Taunton that they would draw in, and like I said, it was unofficially we won the league that day. And I mean, the group, the club, everyone associated with it just deserved that day. I was way more emotional on the Friday than I was on the Monday, oddly, because it was just that relief. And I've been at the club an awful long time, and you know, we touched on earlier what division we're going to land in. I couldn't care, because 15 years ago I was going to Cadbury Heath and Shepton Mallet and these places. So wherever we end up next season is incredible, really. And no one really, you know, it's always the pipe dream, but no one really thought we'd get there. And here we are, going there, like, you know. So look, the dressing room's just, you know, like Craig will know, and the boys, it's not even just closed off. Our dressing room, the boys are so good with the fans and around the club. Whether they're local lads from Aberdeen like Alex and Fraser, or the Swansea mushers like Jack and Kieran, and then we've got boys from Gloucester and Cheltenham. They just get it, and they've come in and got it, and Paul have come in and just got it as well. And I think it's sort of alluding to what Johnny mentioned, that sort of Folkestone game in the FA Cup 3 years back.
That's one.
It was a big turning point. It was, and like I said, I've been at the club a long time, and we've had some big games over the years and playoff matches, and like Hereford at Boxing Day. But it was just something different. The club's just going in a direction now that's really, really exciting. And I'm one of the fortunate enough ones, and this is where I feel privileged because I live in the town. And like this week now, just since Monday, the amount of well dones and handshakes I've had just of people I don't know, but they followed Merthyr and watched Merthyr, and they want to come on to you and say well done for this week, like, you know. And it's like, I'm a Liverpool fan, so to watch that yesterday and seeing families and generations, just like, I'm so emotional in Anfield yesterday and around the ground. I've said it, and Dom will say the same thing about his fans. You ask Merthyr fans who they support, it's Merthyr. They have no interest in the Premier League. So to see what it means to the people of Merthyr and people like Rich and Johnny, and my stepdad Steve, he's got tattoos all over him, and he's just a crying mess, like, you know. And it means so much to these people, and to play a part. You know, like I said, I've been there a while, and it's always the golden generation was of the late 80s and the Di Webley's teams, and you never ever felt we'd get anywhere near them. But I generally do believe what the boys have achieved this year, we really have got our own chunk of history at this football club, and hopefully we can kick on even further, and I can't see why not, like, you know.
Well, one thing I would agree with you about that you have, you did speak about. I've had no interest in the Premier League this year either, to be really honest with you. It's no point. I've been more interested in the Champions League, especially tomorrow night. But there we go. I don't know if I'm going to watch it though, because I just think it's going to go the wrong way. But we'll see. But I've got one question for you though. I mean, and it's a bit of a fun question. I mean, what's Ricardo been like in the dressing room when he's got defenders smashing in goals like it's been going on in the last few weeks? I mean, surely he's got to be looking and going, hang on, you should be doing that.
No, to be fair to Rick, I do am a Rick, and I love him to bits, but I just think there's still even more to come from Rick. And I know that sounds daft. He scored like 40 goals this year, 30 something. He could score 60. I'm not even lying. He's in a team that creates so much for him and the rest, and he's very critical. But look, he's been brilliant. He's the talisman, and Merthyr are a very, very good club at creating cult heroes, and Rick's very much that for us. He's the main man, and you know he's a great guy. And one thing with Rick, what's really good about Rick, he just works his absolute socks off. He mucks in, and he scores a lot of goals. And I've played with players over the years that are only interested in scoring goals. We could lose 4-1. As long as they got that one, they were delighted. Rick isn't that. He wants to score, obviously, but it's team first with Rick, and that's the biggest compliment I can give him. He'll do a job. He'll unselfishly do a role and defend. He runs back beyond his fullbacks to track. He's very much all action, and he produced so many moments of magic for us this year. And hopefully, I don't know what the future holds for Rick. He's got a big future, obviously, and look, he deserves a career in the game. Selfishly, we'd love him to stay. What he decides to do, no one actually knows, because that's the talk now. We're at that point of the season again where your big players get mentioned and clubs mentioned and things like that. So hopefully we can keep all the group together, because we deserve to stay together and have a good crack at the next level. And hopefully Rick is a part of that. But look, you wouldn't begrudge Rick or any of the other lads, because Rick has been our talisman, but it has really been a group effort. There's been some unbelievable performances throughout the season across the team. Cal at the back has been unbelievable. I think he's 19, 20 years old. He plays like a 30-year-old centre-half at the back. He's been unbelievable. Jack Evans and Kieran Evans, I generally think, are the two best. And Lee Lucas, that's the best. I think that's the best midfield in the league above. It's unbelievable. We've lost one of our main men, and Alex John, to injury all season. We've got such a talented group of players, and I feel a bit wrong not mentioning others, but honestly, it's been such a collective, and the performance levels of everyone has been unbelievable. And if clubs come in, they're going to get attention. They deserve that as boys, but I pray to everyone, because no one's coming in for me, apart from Triaris, maybe. If we stick together, we'll have a right good go next year, because we're a part of something special here,
So, Craig, how important is it to keep hold of Ricardo for next year?
Yeah, look, we don't want to lose anybody. The truth of it is, we really, it's been a collective effort. We need to keep everyone, and probably add one or two more to it. The problem we're going to have is, when we go up a division, our budget was far from one of the top in the league we were in now this season. So to go up that level, our budget will go up, but it's not going to be anywhere near most, probably 90% of the sides in the league above. So we are going to have to look to find a few more gems, a few more Ricardos and Cole Jarvises, and work within that budget and restraints. And we mentioned before, there's a lot of issues with being a Welsh club in an English system. A lot of things work against us, but Paul Michael's got an eye for finding these gems. And you look at some of the players he's brought in. He's been unbelievable in bringing in some players to add to this group, because it's not just what they contribute on the pitch. He brings in people who are going to add to the group, good people as well off the pitch, and I think that's important to this group, because, as Matthew said, they are a young group, and we don't someone coming in with a massive ego, and not I think we'd allow that to last long in a change room, but we don't want to disrupt that group too much. So yeah, look, it's important we try to keep everyone, and if we can add one or two to it, who knows next season.
Who knows? You might have contacts in a Premier League side that might have a decent under-21s player who could let you have.
Yeah, that would be nice. That would be nice. Sure, if we go to the north, we can speak to a few people.
I mean, you're talking about youngsters and that as well. Surely, this it must have been fantastic. And I know it was only for a short period of time, but to see Aaron Harris come on and play at the weekend as well, that must have been fantastic for the club as well.
Yeah, Aaron's travelled with the squad most of the season. He picked up a bad injury around Christmas time away at Poole, but he's travelled with us. He's trained with us every week. Himself and another young keeper, Ben Whale, from our under-19s. But Aaron's, he's a local lad. He's had a couple of years within our academy. So, to see him play, his dad's a big Merthyr fan and comes to all the games, travels away. So it was a really good moment for the academy to see him. But we've had we've had quite a few academy lads having to step up this season. Kobe Preston Watkins scored a really important goal away at Poole this season. He scored in the FA Cup at Bath. Charlie Carswell has played. Kian has played. You know, we've had quite a few lads who played this season. So, yeah, you've got to have a manager who's prepared to back him, and Paul has been really good in that. He takes a keen interest in the academy. And, you know, we're not in a position where we can sign players for money. So we have to look to bring them through that academy. And unfortunately, it's been a good year for that. And Adam was another one to come through and make his debut.
And that's while we're on the call, before I asked Dom a question as well. I mean, are you guys all coming to the Southern League Awards?
That's for the big wigs, Dave. We're not part of that.
What, as club captain, you're not going to be there, surely?
I haven't been asked, mate. So that's the first I've heard about it. I don't even know what you're referring to. But if I'm asked, mate, I'm sure I'll make an appearance.
It's down in Southampton this year, so it's end of June.
I can tell you now, Matthew will only be there if he doesn't have the present in his pocket. Or he's the tightest man in the world.
So Dom, I mean, with Horsham as well. I mean, how is it going to be difficult, sort of like money wise, you know, budgets and that for you next year going into there? Or, I mean, you know, because again, you know, not necessarily one of the bigger sides that's in that league. So is that going to be an issue? But does the likes of Enfield Town being in there, Salisbury this year as well? I know Aveley got relegated this year, but they spent 2 seasons in there. Does that give you sort of a little bit of a hope for being one of those smaller sides that you can stay in there as well?
Yeah, I think everyone talks about budgets, don't they? They blame them when you lose, and then but no, I think you know, again, echoing what you guys, everyone's kind of in a similar boat. You know, we want to try and retain our group. Our group is an unbelievable set of players on and off the pitch. If we can retain the majority of our squad, and again, if we can bring 1 or 2 in, but yeah, finance is going to be an issue for us this year. We've been lucky; we've had some really good cut runs over the last few years, and that's helped to give us a bit more, you know, a bit more budget wise. But there's not going to be, you know, budget increases or anything like that to go up. So we'll just have to manage that as we go. But yeah, I mean, it's, you know, we're going to have to bring, you know, 1 or 2 in. There might be 1 or 2 of our boys that don't want to do the travel or commit to it, and we've not had those conversations yet because it's literally just been over the weekend. But I've got to sort of get around the group in the next couple of days. But I'd like them to give it a go. I think I've had boys that was playing for me 7 years. I've got three lads in my team who played for me 7 years. They've gone up through a couple of divisions. They've had FA Cup runs. They've had FA Trophy runs. And I'd love those boys to show that they can do it at the next level, because at every stage they've probably maybe questioned where they fitted into it. But I don't like signing new players. I always say it. It's like I like the fact that we've got, you know, good people, and whenever you sign anyone new, there's a risk that they're not going to be quite right. So yeah, I hate signing new players. If I could keep the same group forever, it would be perfect for me. But you know, the reality of that isn't the case. But yeah, it's going to be very similar to, you know, to a lot of teams that come into the new league. We'll probably, if we can keep what we've got, have a look at it, you know, a couple of months in. Might maybe look at some loans this year. We've never done that before. Never really been a big fan of loans, but I think, you know, potentially that might help if we can get 1 or 2 like that in. But yeah, the key is just trying to get the boys to stay really, and make sure they stay and give it a go. They deserve to give it a go. You don't work as hard as they've done, and this is a 2-year sort of thing, because we was unlucky not to go up last year with the playoffs, and they've worked so hard to get themselves into this position to go again in the league above. I think they should have at least 1 season trying it and seeing how they go on.
I've got something. I normally start the show off with it, and I thought I'd leave it to the end this time round, because I normally say something that's happened in non-league football over the last week or so, or last couple of weeks, and just getting people's thoughts on if it would have happened to them. So you had the situation around Stratford Town. Of course, they had an issue this week, and we'll send all the best wishes to the players and the fan that was involved in there as well. A couple of players and a fan that happened in their game. But I suppose one of the biggest talking points, and I don't know if you guys saw it, was jersey balls. I don't know if you saw what the scenario was there. I don't know if Johnny saw it as well and Richard didn't see it, but there was basically 3 teams in their league, all on 93 points. And if I'm right in saying, I think it was step 5. There was Jersey Bulls top,
Yeah, step 5.
and then Red Hill underneath, and then AFC Whiteleaf, who have just made it into the FA Vars final at Wembley in a couple of weeks, all on the same amount of points. Went into the last game of the season, and then the day before they were supposed to play, Jersey Bulls were informed that they were going to be docked 3 points for playing an illegitimate player. Literally the day before the final league game of the season. And then Red Hill actually scored in the last kick of the game to actually take the title. And now it's still not been decided, because now Jersey Bulls have actually gone back in and said, look, we want to protest against this with the FA and so forth. I mean, it's just carnage, and they can't even play the playoffs or anything like that at the minute, because they don't know who's the champions and who's not. I mean, if you was in that situation, Matt, I suppose I'll ask you first. You're sitting there top of the table, 93 points, same as everybody else. All you got to do is, win the game in the last game of the season, and you're going up to step 4, and then you get told the night before, sorry lads, but you've lost 3 points. I mean, would you be a bit gutted?
I mean, of course you would be. Yeah, I mean, we just blame Jack, wouldn't we, if he fielded an alleged go to the town.
But see, there's the question, Matt, because I said to somebody else the other day, surely by now we should have a system, rather than coming into the thing with a bit of paper or whatever else. There should be a digital system that if Jack has got 2 players on loan, say from Cardiff or whatever else, and their loan runs out on a certain date, that's put into that system. So then all of a sudden you put that loan player in that system for the next game when he's ineligible. It actually comes up on the team sheet and won't let you, actually put that player in. And straight away, that solves all the issues about having players that are suspended, or, all that sort of business. Because you just physically put in, and that poor secretary doesn't feel like, that he wants to shoot himself.
You're missing an important part of your solution there, and it's the FA. It's like, that's the major issue there. That's the stumbling block. Like this, you're exactly right. This shouldn't have been an issue 10 years ago. Like in every other walk of life, everything's digitized. There's no chance of you messing up. If you don't do an MOT now, it's all electronically tagged. You know these things, but I can't go over the Dartford Tunnel without getting a fine every other week because of these things. You know what I mean? But it's like, how horrific must it be for an individual at a football club to have that responsibility of impacting a whole football club? It just shouldn't be a case. It should be a bulletproof system. There should be a proper ID system so that every player has their own individual ID, so that if they bounce between clubs or they play Sundays, Saturdays, whatever it is, that there's no way that there can ever be an error. But yeah, I mean, that one's quite local to us. It's a combined counties. It's not far, but yeah, all the playoffs are on hold. I've heard on the grapevine that apparently Red Hill might have played an ineligible player as well. So there's and
all of a sudden Whiteleaf could do an FA Bar and Championship.
Yeah.
The closest I can remember us getting to that was when our ex-sec secretary Jamie Mack, not a few obviously guys know him, like you had like 14 days into the beginning of the season to withdraw from the Southern League Cup and pay a £200 fine. He didn't withdraw us from it. Man just pulling his hair out, shouting at him, saying we got to go to Cambridge on Tuesday night now, and we ended up winning it. So so it was we now call it the Jamie Mack Cup. So yeah, but no, you're right, Dom. To have that, especially with Murphy, like our secretary Jack is only 22, 23. To have that pressure on him to check, double check, treble check the players and things like that, and I think one year we had a player, I'm not going to mention him, but the guys will probably know who he was. He got like sent off for headbutting a referee in a five-a-side league or something like that on a Thursday night with his mates, and it filtered down. It didn't affect us, thankfully, because he had just left the club. But things like that, you got to trust the player as well, like, to tell you what's lurking underneath, like, and Jack does a great job at Merthyr, and I know it's him and Jamie very, very well, and over the years that's something that they've really fretted over, like, they double check, treble check. I mean, in Wales we've got the Comet system, which is pretty much automated. It's still not great, as Craig will tell you, he's dealt with it, as Matty will tell you, he's dealt with it. It's still not 100% bulletproof, but I think it is better than the old piece of paper, right? Piece of paper in the in tray, like,
This is a live scenario. So Dom, you're on about the FA. We're obviously governed by the FAW, but play in the FA. We had a lad suspended, got sent off 2 weeks ago on a Saturday, and the FA ruling is 7 days for your suspension to kick in.
Yeah.
Well, Jack had his sanction list through, and they had him down suspended for the Good Friday game. And Jack's like, that's not right, but that's the FAW rules. So Jack had to go back and forth to friggin' Noel Mooney at the FAW to get his sanction dropped for him to play on the Friday, because we then to fall in line with our league's rules.
Sure.
So that's where the conflict comes in. So it could have actually been that if Jack was a bit blasé with it, maybe, and we would have just assumed it's Singh, he could have played on that Friday. The FAW would go, no, he's suspended, and that could have completely backfired. But it's just it's a mess, really, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, there was the same situation with Wolverhampton Abbey player. Two times this year he's been sent off for violent conduct. So he's banned, as you know, three matches and now 4 matches, etc. But he's allowed to go down to step 5 and play at step 5. What's that madness? Do you know what I mean? So he can go down. Let's start saying, Nottingham Forest player gets sent off, but he can go and play in the Championship for a couple of weeks until his suspension runs out. I mean, it's just just complete bonkers. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. It's just.
I know there's a rule with certain things, with competition specifically sending off. So I mean, there's a boy I know, Matthew and Richard, I know him, plays for Pendarren. He got sent off in the Welsh Cup. And if they got knocked out of the Welsh Cup in the first game every year, it turns into like a 4-year Welsh Cup ban. Because
we had it last season.
Yeah,
exactly that. We had a lad who had been 2 yellows for Maidstone in one of the cups, and he'd left Maidstone. He had a ban in a different county, but he was banned from all county cups. So he'd had to wait. I think it was like 3 seasons. He'd still not got this ban over. He came to us, and while he was with us, that 2 of the games, but there wasn't enough for him to play in the final. So he missed out on the Amex, last season because of 2 bookings from 3 or 4 years ago. Wow. And just by chance, Maidstone kept going out of the cup first round, like you said. And he didn't quite get enough games in before playing for us. So it's a shame.
Unbelievable. Well, listen, guys, I really do appreciate you being on tonight. I really do. And it's a fantastic, Dom. Massive congratulations to everybody at Horsham and to yourself for a fantastic season.
Well done, mate.
Well done,
guys.
Well done. Fantastic season as well for Craig and as well, Matty. Absolutely fantastic. And so pleased for you as well. And massive thank you for Richard for coming on today. It's great to actually get to talk to you rather than just having a chat through X and through Facebook. And of course, the legend that's given up a lot of time for me this season. And I really, really appreciate that, Johnny. I really do. Thank you very much for coming on. As I say, this was the last episode of the Repost Non-League Show for this season. We'll be back, hopefully, in August, as long as I've not been snatched by Sky or BBC or TalkSport. So I'll definitely be back. But we'll be back for season 15 of the Repost Non-League Show, and we'll be back in early August with that. But I say a massive thank you for everybody that's watched this season, and from me and from my guest tonight, a massive thank you and good night.
Thank you.